listening to Jai Long, and this is Make Your Break. Whether you're a big-hearted creative or an aspiring entrepreneur, let's take action on your dreams, reconnecting you with your why and giving you the how. I'm here to dish out actionable mindset tips and fun industry secrets to help you blow up your biz. From eye-opening reality checks to motivational gold, no two episodes are ever the same. So tune in weekly, skip the FOMO, and let's dive into the deep together. Hey, over the last few months, I have been feeling a little bit down, and it's impacted my work. It's impacted me showing up. I have felt my happiness slip. I have felt the weight on my shoulders as I make decisions and as I'm trailing forward with all the things that I do. And I posted something on Instagram this week, and I noticed that a lot of people feel the same way. Now I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of you guys reached out to me to say that you feel the same sentiment. You're going through a lot of things. Sometimes entrepreneurship is hard. Sometimes you feel like you're in a dark tunnel and you can't see the light at the end of it. And maybe you've been sold the dream that entrepreneurship is just easy. You're just going out and you can just make money and you can make impact and you can help people. And in reality, there's so much adversity that comes up where you've got to battle yourself, your own anxiety, your own self-doubts, your own comparison, your own low confidence, your own whatever it is. So today I wanted to make a little podcast episode for you and for me as well. So for me to remember who I am, but for you to sort of dig deep. If you are in this situation right now and you're an entrepreneur and you're building something from nothing, it sometimes takes a strong heart. Sometimes you have to have thick skin. Sometimes there are going to be a lot of curveballs. Sometimes it's just fucking hard. Now on that, there will be a few swear words on this episode. So whilst I unleash, if you got some children in the back seat, make sure that you circle back to this episode when you're ready, when you're going for a run, going for a walk with your dog, whatever it is. But I do believe this is going to help you in so many different ways as I go over 5 different things. Now, I want to preference this episode that this is not coming from any kind of scientific or data-based results. Like so often I get so scared talking about overwhelm or mindset and things like that because I think it needs to come like you need to have some sort of proof. You need the science behind it. You need to go and read a book and listen to some podcasts on psychologists talking about this type of stuff. And otherwise, I'm not an expert, and who am I to be sharing this with you right now? Now, my experience and what I do bring to the table though is I am an entrepreneur and I have been so since I was 20. So that's 16 years that I've been working for myself, hustling through the world, creating something from nothing, going through the hate, going through the naysayers, standing up for myself, being proud of myself, getting knocked down, getting back up, making money, losing a lot of money, going bankrupt, becoming a millionaire, and everything in between. So from that standpoint, I know that there's so many different strategies that we can use here and that I could share with you. And I'm like going, fuck it. I'm pushing all that out the door because really I want to come from my heart. And how do I actually feel as an entrepreneur as I'm building up my business? So before we get into today's episode, I just want to put this out there. If you feel the same in any sentiment, make sure you do reach out for help. And if you know this can help your community, then I would love for you to share this episode with your followers. Make sure you tag me at jailong.co just so I can repost it and so I can say hello as well. But it means a lot for you to share an episode like this with the people around you because it brings everybody up. And I really do appreciate it. So let's get into today's episode. You are above average, although you compare yourself with the best sometimes and it can bring you down. You know, I know you're above average. You're listening to this podcast. You're obsessed, right? And sometimes it can be so easy to slip in and bring yourself down because you're looking around and everyone seems to be doing better than you. People are fast tracking straight past you in the speeding lane. They're getting bigger results than you. They're making more impact than you. And we compare ourselves sometimes with the tip of the iceberg of some of the most successful people, and we don't see what's underneath the water. We don't see the hardship they go through, the things that they do. And one thing that really stood out when I got a lot of messages this week was a lot of people saying, I didn't realize when you get as successful as you, Jai, that you still feel this way. And you do. So across the board, doesn't matter if you're an industry leader, if you're an expert in your space, Doesn't matter where you are, if you're just starting out, like we are all human and we have these human emotions and we feel that way. But I want you to know you are above average. You are obsessed. And sometimes people won't understand you and they don't understand that you are obsessed. I get it, but you are obsessed. You're listening to a podcast right now while you're going for a walk or while you're going for a drive on self-development. You're continually thinking about your business and how can you bring more value to people and how can you level up and how can you charge more? How can you bring more money for your family? What can, who do you need to know? You're obsessed and that's good. But people won't always understand you and that's okay. You are hungry and you're looking for your next meal. Not everyone's going to understand your drive and your dreams. And guess what? They don't have to, as long as you understand them. So often we're trying to find validation and we want to be liked by people, by our own community. We want to be validated by them. But hey, just because you're more hungry than the person next to you, just because you want to do better, just because you're obsessed over promising, over delivering, creating something that you are proud of and doing your best, just because you strive for excellence, it doesn't mean that you're different from everybody else and everyone else should understand you. You need to understand you. You need to understand who you are. That's the most important thing. Your why runs really deep. You know what you want and not everyone's going to share the same vision as you. Not everyone's going to trust you. Not everyone's going to understand you. I get it. You get it. But your why is deep. You've gone through a lot of things. You've experienced loss. You've experienced hardship. You've had the wins. You've hit big milestones, right? Your why runs deep. The reason why you're showing up right now, the reason why you don't work for somebody, the reason why you built the courage to go and quit, the reason why you started your business, the reason why that you're doing things differently, the reason why you're going against the grain, your why runs so deep. And yeah, not everyone's going to understand your why, your vision, the way that you want to do things. And that's okay, as long as you know your why. Your North Star is bright. So bright, you know where you're going. But sometimes there's fog and sometimes you can't see the vision and that's okay. Sometimes there's hardship. Sometimes you experience loss and that's okay. Sometimes you need to take a step back and that's okay. Sometimes you're going to experience some wild adversity. Sometimes you're going to have someone that's trying to bring you down. Someone's going to steal your stuff. Someone's going to plagiarize your work. Someone's going to undermine you, undercut you, mansplain you, like whatever it is. And that's okay because the fog is always going to move. And as long as you're sailing forward through the storm, the clarity is going to come back and your North Star will be bright again. So you need to keep looking for that North Star. That North Star. Why have you got such a strong North Star? When we're sailing through and we're making things happen for ourselves, you need to keep moving forward towards your why. It runs so deep. So your North Star, keep looking for it, even when it's foggy. Now, before we get started on this, the 5 things I want to talk about, I want you to remember who you are. So often we remember what our product is, what our services are, what our brand is, who our clients are. We remember all this stuff and we get lost and we don't remember who we are. So I want you to take a moment to remember who you are. Who is it? What are your values? What is your why? I want you to remember your why, your who and your why. Because so often there's just so much information out there. There's so many opinions. There's so much quote unquote help from an unsolicited advice from people that shouldn't be giving it to you, that are not experts in what they're talking about anyway. And we get bombarded by this and then we get overwhelmed and then we lose who we are and we lose our own vision. We lose our own why. When we're looking around social media and we're seeing everyone else doing everything and then we start getting down the train where we start creating quality over quantity. We don't even know what we're trying to stand for anymore. We're just trying to follow trends on social media, on Instagram, on TikTok. We're dancing now. We're miming. We're doing this. We're doing that. And why are we doing it? Who the fuck are we? Right? And we lose ourselves in that process. And after a while, we realized we became a content machine and we lost our own stories and our own unique point of difference and what makes us amazing, what makes us human. So before we get back into this, I just want you to dig deep and I want you to remember who you are. Because if you know who you are, then you are unstoppable. You'll be able to take everything to another level. Things, small problems that come up in your way, it will feel so insignificant to you as you're moving forward because you know who you are, the power that you have, you know your potential, you know what you're capable of, you know where you're going, and you know why you're doing it. I think this is one of the most important things. So coming back to that foundation of what does make you interesting, what makes you unique. Why would anyone do work with you? Why does anyone like you? Why would someone come up and talk to you at a party? What do you have that you can share with people? Who are you? Why are people attracted to you? Why do people want to come and talk to you? Why do people want to do work with you? Think about it, especially when you first started out. Like, what was the driving factor? What made you feel alive? Ask yourself, what made you feel alive? I think this is a question for me. Jai, what the fuck made you feel alive? Like, what made you feel like a child when you started your business, when you were naive, when you had no idea that there was anyone out there in the world that was even better than you, that could do more than you, that was smarter than you, whatever it is. Who are you though? So I want you to ask yourself that question as we get into this. So we're going over 5 different things today. So the theme of this is going to be because of overwhelm. So as we go through these 5 different points that I wanted to sort of stress out and highlight, I think they're going to help you as an entrepreneur. So number 1 is mindset and the way that we talk to ourselves. Now, you know that I am so big about mindset. I mean, I've been talking about mindset before it was popular. Back in 2015, when I was harping on about mindset and trying to sell tickets to workshops about mindset, and no one even knew what that was and what that term was, and it wasn't trendy back then. Mindset is my jam. It is everything. Everything is your mindset. And so the way that we talk to ourselves, there are some things we need to throw overboard. Now, you know me, I talk about business as a ship, and you are the captain of your ship, and you're steering this towards success. You are not your business. The business is simply a vessel to take you from where you are today to where you want to be. And where you want to be is your unrealistic dreams. It's your new version of you. It's what the person you want to step into, the income you want to step into, the impact that you want to make in the future. So that's what your business helps you fulfill that dream, right? Whatever that dream is. If you want to buy your mum a house like I do, if you want to retire your partner so they don't have to work all the time, if you want to change the world in some way, if you want to change an industry, like whatever it is. So our mindset and the way that I talk to ourselves, one of the most important things. So there's a few things we need to throw overboard. And one of the ways that we talk to ourselves is the fact that we're always calling ourselves out and saying that we're poor. Now, this one is really important. There's too many people that I talk to that are poor. And when I'm talking about poor, I'm not talking about just money poor. They're poor in all aspects of their life. I've talked to them, they're like, Jai, I don't have time. I'm time poor. Jai, I don't have money. I'm poor. Jai, I don't have social media followers. I don't have this. I'm poor. And I think this is a mindset we've got to throw overboard. What I want to say here is with our mindset and with everything, like there's already so many battles that we need to fight out in the world. And battling ourselves is counterintuitive of what we're trying to do. It's the biggest battle that we undertake. So we need to give ourselves more grace. Now remember, just because you're poor, it's a poor excuse. I say this all the time. So a lot of the times, like another way that we say we're poor, Jai, I'm not getting leads. I don't get leads. People say this. I don't get leads. I don't get money. I don't have time. Now, instead of saying that, let's change it. Because what you're saying is, I'm not getting leads. You're saying it as if something happens to you. I don't get leads. See what I'm saying here? It happens to me. I don't get leads. So we need to change this, the way that we speak to ourselves. Instead, you need to say, I haven't gone out and got leads yet, right? I don't have time. Instead of, I haven't managed my time yet, but I'm going to check it. I don't have money. I don't have the funds yet. I'm making it. I'm out there. Give me some time. I'm making this happen. So if we change the way that we speak to ourselves, it changes our energy. It changes everything because it opens potential and it opens doors instead of closing doors. But literally the second that you say, I am poor, I am time poor, I don't have time, guess what you're doing? I'm shutting a door. The door's locked. I don't have money, Jai. I'm poor. Okay, you just close the door. For most of my life, I haven't had money. Most of my life. I am 36 years old now. I became a millionaire when I was 33. When I was 32, I was dead broke. I almost went bankrupt when I was 33 and that same year. And I've lost all my money since then, just last year. And then I made it all back again. Most of my life, I've worked for free. Most of my life. I mean, if you go back to my childhood, we were homeless. I went through so much domestic violence. I went through so much where there was no money and there's no abundance, but I never said that to myself. I'm like, hey, I know there's money out there. I don't need to make the money. Money's already there. I just need to go over there and collect it, right? So the way that you talk to yourself is one of the most important things. Okay, I just want to say this before we move on from mindset and the way that we talk to ourselves. I don't want you to let people fuck with you. I don't want you to let circumstances fuck with you, and I don't want you to allow you to fuck with you, and I don't want you to allow people to fuck with you, right? I think this is so important because so often it's us fighting us, and it's just such a hard battle to win when we are outsmarting ourselves by telling ourselves stories that doesn't really exist and putting ourselves down and being hard on ourselves and talking to ourselves in the wrong way. Like, man, talk about making things so hard for ourselves. So don't let people fuck with you. Don't let circumstances fuck with you. Don't allow you to fuck with you, right? Give yourself some grace. So, number 2, stress doesn't come from doing too much. Unfortunately, this is the truth. That's what I found anyway. I'm not talking about this is the truth and the only truth. This is my truth. Stress doesn't come from doing too much. Stress and overwhelm comes from not doing what we know we should be doing. Doing the work is the easy bit. So doing the work itself is not the thing that creates stress. It's when you're sitting there and you know you should be doing more. You know the work you got to be doing. You know the Instagram post you should be posting. Now I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm not doing it. I'm feeling stressed because of all the things I should be doing and all the things that are coming up, but I'm not currently doing them. When you're currently doing the work, it's easy, you know? Getting out there and actually shooting an event, that's easy. Me getting on a coaching call, that's easy. Me standing there on stage and talking on a workshop, that's easy. It's the thing when I know that I'm not reaching my potential, I get overwhelmed, I get stressed. When I know I need to be doing more, I get overwhelmed, I get stressed. When I am not reaching my potential, I'm overwhelmed and I'm stressed. When I'm not serving people at the level that I want to serve people, I'm overwhelmed and I'm stressed. When I'm not showing up with excellence in mind, I'm overwhelmed and I'm stressed. You see what I'm saying here? So often people think, hey, burnout leads to doing too much. But I honestly think it's the opposite. It's you haven't done enough. That's why you're burnt out. Because you've got a long list of things to do and you talk about it all the time and it creates stress in your mind. It creates overwhelm actually because there's so many things to do. But if you just scheduled things out and you just got to work, it actually relieves stress and it relieves overwhelm. Now, this is not just my sentiment. I've heard so many entrepreneurs talk about this. And when I do bigger masterminds with people in the bigger price brackets and everything like that, like as you sort of level up, people start understanding this and they're like, yes, that's exactly right. When I first started out, I was so overwhelmed with everything and I felt like I was burning out and I didn't understand how me running a business that makes 50 grand a year and I'm just feeling overwhelmed, stressed, burnt out all the time. And then I see someone that's doing 5 million a year and how are they not like that? And it's simple. It's because the person that's in the slipstream of making a lot more impact, a lot more money, a lot more success is they've worked out that when they get to work, it releases all the stress and the overwhelm because now they know that the work is the easy part. Thinking about the work, that's the hard part. Obsessing over what you haven't done, that's really hard. Obsessing over all the things you should do, oh my God, that's overwhelm. Number 3, you're obsessed with short-term gains. So what does this mean? So often we compare ourselves with everybody else and we're trying to get the short-term thing. We're so obsessed over it, in fact. And I want to change your perspective on this. Did you know that it can be easier to build a $100,000 business than it is to build a $10,000 business, but it takes longer? Or if you're building $1 million business or a $10 million business, or I'm guessing I've never done it before, $100 million business, right? Now, it's all about the foundations. And so often all we want to do is we want to pop up just a 1-story house and we want to do it as fast as possible, get leads as fast as possible, book people as fast as possible, and we don't think too much about the future. Now, I want to change your perspective. When you're building foundations, think about, does it take longer to build a skyscraper or let's say a 10-story house or 10-story unit block compared to a 1-story unit block? I believe it does. And why? Because you work more on the foundations. You dig deeper and you make sure the thing's strong. And then maybe the other house is finished before you even hit the surface level. And then you can start building story 1, story 2, story 3, story 4, or level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. Does that make sense? But the person that you're comparing yourself with when you're looking around, they're all building just townhouses, just single story houses. And of course, it's easy for them to throw it out and get the quick wins. But what you're doing is something else. So with this analogy, what am I talking about here? Well, I'm talking about digging deeper, understanding who you are and why you do this. So the more that you have the deeper bedrock foundation, the easier it is for you to get higher and higher, to get to a new level, because you've built your whole business that way. You work that way, right? Completely different. Now, what most people do is they want the quick wins. So they build flimsy foundations. They go against their own values. They sell themselves out. They're trying to shoot anything, book anything, draw anything, illustrate anything, play anything, anywhere, anytime for anyone. And they get the quick wins, and the quick wins are all good. They forget why they're doing it. They build the single story townhouse. And then after a few months, they start seeing the person next to them that's got 3 levels, 4 levels, 5 levels. They compare themselves with that. And what they try and do is they try to add another level on top, and then another level on top, and then another level on top. And guess what? It's extremely hard for you. If those foundations are not rock solid, it's probably all going to fall over, and you're going to end up having an anxiety attack, a mental breakdown, like who knows, right? Because you didn't build it right from the start. Now, I talk about this a lot, but when you're building something right from the start, you need to have the vision, and you need to understand, like, do I want a $100,000 business here? Do I want a $500,000 business here? Do I want $1 million? Do I want 100 million? Like, what do I want from the thing that I'm building? And then from there, if you know you got a vision, you're going to make $1 million in your business one day, you don't mind that it takes longer than everybody else, because you're going to make more than everybody else. So you're not going on Instagram and comparing yourself to everybody else, because you know you're building foundations. You're doing the work now. You're doing that hard work. You're asking yourself those questions. You're finding the right clients. You're working for free for them. You're building your portfolio. You're building your website. You're making things amazing. You're obsessing over the details. You're getting an unbreakable reputation out in your industry. You're becoming the expert in your industry. So often, like, this is the way that I built my whole business. But I see everyone overtaking me. Everyone goes past me. And the difference that I have is I know who I am, I know where I am, and I've got those solid foundations where I keep building up another level. And when I'm ready, I'll go another level. And when I'm ready, I'll go another level. But I have come unstuck in recent times because I've got to be honest. The biggest regret that I ever had and I ever do is I think too small. My dreams are too small. My goals are too small. So when I was building my business, my education business, it literally was, I wanted $1 million a year education business. And it grew to that quickly. But the problem was I didn't build the foundations for a $10 million business or a $100 million business. So right now I'm adding another level and I'm adding another level, and then I'm getting stuck and overwhelmed and everything else, right? And so it's taking a big toll on me. And so for me and my mental health, that's why it's getting harder and harder for me to reinvent myself, because what I have to do now is I've got to knock down a few different levels, rebuild, take some steps back so I can propel myself forward with the right foundations, and so I can hit those right levels without taking any shortcuts, because nothing's about shortcuts, right? Nothing is about being easy or shortcuts. It's about being simple, having a roadmap, and getting yourself there. Number 4, happiness needs to come before success. This one opened my eyes because when I shared that I'm not feeling so well lately, a lot of people said, I thought because you're so successful, Jai, you would be just super happy. And what people don't realize is nothing changes. As you go through and you hit your milestones, that doesn't change happiness. You make a bit more money, that doesn't change happiness, right? But what I do realize is when people become happy before they find the success, it correlates to them finding the success. Like, happiness does bring success. Success does not bring happiness, but happiness does bring success. Now, I've seen this over and over, and I want to give one example here. Actually, Brittany, she is inside the 6-figure business map, and shout out, I know you're listening to this, Brittany. She and all the sailors that were in this group call. So the other day, she's going to be on the podcast soon, and so the other day we're in the group coaching call, and she wanted to just share some of the things that she's working on. And she's not hitting any massive milestones or anything. There was nothing stand out that I remember. And all I remember was that she was so energetic about what she's doing. She was excited to share with everybody. She was radiating happiness. She was driven. She's got a bright light going on. And man, people could not take notice of her. You know, it's a whole nother level. And so when I see her showing up like that, I'm like, oh my God, success is coming for you. It's coming hard and fast. You know, you don't even know what's going to hit you yet. And I see this with students over and over and over, with peers over and over, with family members over and over. And when they show up like this, like people want to help them. They want to show up for them. They want to show them some direction. They want to fund their things, like whatever it is. Even for me, like the amount of people that get into my DMs and like, Joe, I'd love for you to invest in my business. I want you to be a partner. I want you to do this and that. And it's like the amount of opportunities I get just because I have good energy. You know, and so I'm happy. I'm happy in myself because my happiness came way before I had money. Man, when I was younger, like so often people, like they grow up and they're like, oh man, I grew up poor and I was unhappy. I was like, my childhood, man, there was a lot of shit that went down in my childhood for sure. There was a lot of domestic violence. There was homelessness. There was a lot. And I can't say for one day I was not happy. Like that was never a thing. My parents were happy. I was happy. Like things were happy. And that doesn't correlate to how much success that you have or where you live, or if you're in government housing or you're in Miami in a 3-story mansion on the water, like whatever it is. Like happiness is not defined by your success. So remember that. If you're thinking that success is going to change your happiness, then you should think again. And what you need to do is you need to find your happiness now. Like what does make you happy? Look around. And then whatever it is, that's what you should be pursuing, because you're going to feel unhappy if you're trying to get the success to fill that void for you. They're completely separate, right? So you need to find it within yourself, and that is going to generate the success that you're looking for, because regardless if you get it or not, it's not going to change your happiness, and all of a sudden you're going to have a new lease on life. Number 5, asking the wrong people for advice and listening to everyone and trying to serve everyone. Man, this is the wrong thing to do. So often we listen to our close friends, we listen to our parents, we listen to our dog, anyone that's irrelevant that wants to give us feedback, to DMs on Instagram, to the wrong business coach. Trust me, there's so many wrong business coaches, like literally so much bad advice out there that we listen to. And you've got to look at these people and go, do they have the results that you want? Do they have the life that you want to live? Are they steps ahead of you, right? So if they don't have all that, it's going to be really hard for you to take on the right information from them. And most of the time, the information looks like this. If I was you, I wouldn't do that. The mistake that I made is this, and you should avoid this. And so everything comes from a negative place. It's like, avoid this mistake. Don't do this. What's your backup plan? They always tell me that. Fuck your backup plan, man. Like, keep your backup plans and your insecurities to yourself. I am an entrepreneur and I'm going somewhere. I'm obsessed. I have a North Star and it's bright and it runs deep, and I know what my why is and I know who I am, and I'm ready to make things happen. So because of that deep rooted foundation that I built for myself, it's hard for people to knock me over. Even when I do get haters in my social media accounts and, trolls and people stealing my shit and whatever else it is, it's hard to move me because my foundations are so deep. So I'm like a building, right? I'm not like a little shack that's going to blow over with the smallest breath for someone walking past. So when you think about that, asking the wrong people for advice and listening to everyone's going to stop you in your tracks, and it's going to stop you from taking action. There will be no action after listening to everybody or trying to serve everyone. If others don't flow with you, it's not a you problem, it's a them problem. Move on. This one's so important. If others don't flow with you, it's not a you problem. You're doing fine. You know where you're going. You know what you're doing. It's a them problem. Move on. I think this is so important because so often, we get contradicting opinions, advice on so many different things, and we get pulled in so many different directions, and then we start losing ourselves and we start losing our intuition, and we start not listening to ourselves anymore because we're listening to people that we deem maybe they're more successful than us, or maybe for some reason they're the expert and they've got authority and we're going to listen to them, like whatever it is. And even me, man, like you're listening to me, like don't let me persuade your opinion. Like listen to yourself first, always. And then once you've got your opinion built, then listen to others to work out if it's the right thing to do and how to do it, right? So I want you to dig deep because you know what you need to do. You built your business to where it is today. Like you made that happen. You're the one that book on clients. You're the one that wears all the hats in your business. You're the one that did all that marketing. You're the one that should be so proud of all the work that you have done. I'm proud of you. If others don't flow with you, fuck those people. It's not a you problem. It's a them problem. We got to move on. This is me saying it to me, and I hope that helps you because seriously, we need to honor ourselves because if we don't honor ourselves, we don't honor the people around us. And when we don't become the best version of ourselves, then people don't want to be around us. And we go back to number 4, happiness needs to come before success. We need to build the foundations of that happiness within ourselves. And then that way we can move forward and we can be the best version of ourselves and we will attract people, the right people into our ecosystem, and then we'll be able to take action. And action is going to equal results. You know this. So I want you to go back. Remember to go back to your why and who you are. Now, I just want to finish this with just saying a few things. I know I did swear a few times in this and I just want to swear one more time because I feel like this is really important. Don't let people fuck with you. Don't let circumstances fuck with you. Don't allow you to fuck with you. It's already so hard out there. The marketplace is hard. The interest rates are hard. Like everything is hard, right? Trying to get yourself new leads is hard. Fighting with technology is hard. Competing with everyone on social media is hard. Updating your Instagram, being on top of everything is hard. Wearing all the hats is hard. Keeping your boat afloat is hard. I get it. I really do. And you do as well. So we need to be our biggest supporter. Like we need to love ourselves. We need to build those foundations. We need to take time for ourselves. We need to obsess over where we're going. We need to have the sight of that North Star so we know where to steer that ship. And here's a reminder. I want you to stay and remain committed. I want you to put in the time. You're not trying to shortcut anybody. You're not trying to build the mediocre 1-bedroom, 1-story house in the suburbs. You're building something amazing. Put in the time. Even if it takes longer for you, it's because you're going somewhere that no one else is going. Build those foundations. And of course, last reminder, ask for help. If you need help, there's nothing more powerful for an entrepreneur to have the humility to get out there and ask for help. All of us need to ask for help at some stage. And it's one of the most important things for us to move forward and for us to unlock the next version of ourselves. Thank you for listening to Make Your Break. You've been listening to Jai Long. If you did enjoy this podcast episode and it didn't feel too negative, I'm sorry if it did. I'm really trying to keep this as positive as possible. And I'm literally making this one for me. So if nothing else, if you didn't love this, then that's totally fine. But if you do feel the same as me and you needed these reminders to remain committed, put in the time, build those foundations and ask for help, then I hope this came at the right time. Now, if you could do me a favor and share this on social media and tag me, that would help as well because I know so many people need to hear this message right now. And I would really, really appreciate seeing this out into the world. So big thank you, and I'm going to see you very soon.
Hey, Make Your Breakers. Want to streamline your audible dose of inspiration, motivation, and creative biz insights with a custom playlist made just for you? Was that a yes, please? Kicking our arses into gear, sifting through all of Make Your Break's episodes to date. Yep, we're talking all 200 plus episodes. We've meticulously curated some banging playlists just for you. We want to help you to make that break ASAP. So whether you're a newbie or have listened to every episode a million times, jump into the show notes and check out the little something we whipped up to generate your very own custom playlist.